Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkbutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making video for our Stamp Around UK video hop that we run every month. Wasn't able to participate in the last couple, so just trying to get one in this time around for September, so always on the first of the month. And in the video description you'll see loads of links to loads of other videos. We're all Stampin' Up demonstrators. We'll be all creating projects around a common theme, and this time around it's geometric or geometry. So do take a look at those links, do like and subscribe if you haven't been there before, and if you've come to me from one of the other delightful people in this hop, welcome to the channel. And so just press those like and subscribe buttons, and some comments are really welcome as well. So we're going to get cracking on the card I'm making today. So like I say, it's a geometric theme. So we've got a square, and we've also got a series of circles forming a little bit of a backdrop to a little cluster of flowers there, with this nice little congratulations sentiment here. So the things we've got going on are using this die set. So it's this little teeny tiny die here that I've used to cut out those little circles. This is called Radiating Stitches. It's a online exclusive die set. So there are pictures of it in the annual catalogue, but you'll see all the details of it online. So this is this teeny tiny little die, which cuts circles which are just about, they're about 7/8 of an inch. What's that in millimetres? It's just over 2 centimetres, something like 22 millimetres. So it was this little teeny tiny die that I've used to make that. There is a larger one on there, but obviously you'd have to resize stuff and everything, but that's the sort of focus, if you like, from the geometric point of view. On this one, it just so happened to fit inside a one of our stylish shapes. That's the largest square, but that's totally optional. That could be a free cut square. It just so happened to fit. So that was that. Then we've got the Pedal Park is our stamp and coordinating punch that we're going to use to create our little flowers there. And the sentiment is from Wonderful Thoughts. This nice congratulations here, and this is one of the sets that comes with the dies to cut out the words rather than having to fussy cut them out yourself. So that's what we've used for the sentiment. So variation on a theme, if you like. So what I've done ahead of time is die cut a whole heap of these circles, because I kind of figured you didn't really need to see me do that. I actually used the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss for this, because it was just easy just to roll through a little tiny die multiple times. So there's a whole stack of those there ready to use on the project. Okay, so like I say, I didn't think it was necessary for you to see that element. So they're all ready to go. And we're just going to do, instead of the square, we're actually going to do a bit more of a rectangle for the central panel. So I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white cardstock, which I know is bigger than what I require, just so that it kind of gives us a bit of wriggle room in terms of our positioning and all that kind of stuff, so then we can cut it down afterwards. So we're going to go a little do a rectangle rather than that. So it's still going to be 3 wide, but we're going to go with 5 rows. And I'm just going to put a dab of glue in the centre of these, and we can then start applying them to the card. So maybe just do 5 at a time, just so that we don't end up with glue drying more quickly than we want. So I'm just looking at the little markings, the indentations that we get on at sort of there's 5 of them, so they're not like a clock or anything. So I'm just using like one of the longer ones and sort of aiming for it at 12 o'clock and then just going from there really. So we're just going to position the first one in a corner somewhere. Choose a corner, any corner, eyeball it straight. If you really want to get a ruler out and do some marks or something, then please do so. I'm just gonna go with it, and I've just knocked that one off centre there. But I think it's one of those kind of things where you kind of won't notice if things aren't quite in the same orientation. So we're just going to build up this design. I'm just trying to keep that distance from the edge and the distance between the piece below kind of equal. Okay, so it's a bit of a labour of love to do this. The other things that I thought about, if you were wanting to maybe save some time, is use a small punch. So if you've got a small punch that you want to use, that would be a lot quicker than die cutting everything. I've cut everything out of plain white cardstock because we will be applying ink to those afterwards, but of course we could use our coloured cardstock or even designer series paper to cut those elements as well. So that's another tip if you wanted to create something sort of along the same lines but with a bit of a different look. And then managed to get glue on me, which is kind of one of the reasons I don't use a lot of wet glue, if I'm honest, because I'm mucky. Okay, just wipe that off because otherwise it'll end up somewhere that it's not supposed to. So I think you kind of get where I'm going with this. So I'm going to zap forward a little bit to the point at which we've done all that. And I'll meet you back when we do our ink blending over the top. Okay, so we're ready to do our ink blending over the top of this then. So I'm just going to grab some scrap paper to protect my surface. This will do, it's just copy paper just to protect everything. So hopefully you saw that I just trimmed that down slightly. If you do get any little sort of rough edges from your trimmer, especially when you're doing little skinny cuts, sometimes you just get a bit of fluffy bits from the blade, so especially if it's a little bit on the older side. So just use a little sanding block like that and they disappear off. And I'm going to bring in some blending brushes. So we've got a red one and a yellow one and a blue one to start off with. Okay, so red, and then the transition between red and yellow is going to make our orange, and then our transition between our yellow and our blue will make a green. And we might pop in some red at the bottom just to pop in some purple. So our 3 primary colours, if you like. So when I'm kind of doing this kind of thing, I'm not actually adding any ink to this. I'm just going to go with whatever is on the brush. So I'm not even going to necessarily say what colour it is. It could be a whole mix of colours. But we're going to go real light with this. So I'm holding the brush at the end, which doesn't put a lot of pressure on the brush head. Okay, and the raised elements, the edges of those dies, or die cuts I should say, I'm just going to catch that ink and sort of pop a little bit. So the yellow is kind of an anchor colour. We want the yellow to kind of come through, but we also want it to blend into the other ones. So we need quite a bit of that yellow coming down and up from the centre. I'm not really going in a straight line, I'm kind of going across, right? And then when we're bringing our red brush, ooh, maybe there's just a little too little on this one, but we'll keep going. Just I'm going over that junction there with the yellow, and that's got more of an orange hue to it. It's very, very light, so I'm hoping you're getting this on the camera. But it's amazing how much of that residual ink is there and how much of a difference it makes to the project. So hopefully that's coming through really cool. It looks lovely in real life. Okay, so I think one of the things that people can go wrong with is being a bit heavy-handed with blending brushes. But say if I hold it at the end here, it puts less pressure on, and I'm just using the weight of the brush head itself is applying the pressure. And we're going around in circles, going over that transition with the yellow again to get the green through. But not obliterating the yellow entirely. Okay, just a little bit across this corner for some purple, a little bit of the red across this corner for some purple. It's going to be super subtle, but there will be a transition. Let's put a little red ink on there, so it's not going to show up a whole heap. Okay, but hopefully you can see that it's really lovely, really, really lovely. If there's anything I'd like a little bit more of, it's the red. I'm going to just go over this just a little more. Just holding that a bit further down now, just to apply a little bit more pressure, see if I can get that a bit more intense. That's looking a little better. Okay, so just the three colours to make a really beautiful blended background there. And then we're going to just mat this onto some black cardstock. So again, just getting that lined up in a corner, okay, like so, and then we'll trim it down. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in the seal to do that. Just a little bit, just to secure it into this corner. And thus far I have not measured anything, it's just literally eyeballing the whole thing. So again, we'll bring in our trimmer. Sorry about the glare, try not to get that on there. I'm going to be looking to get the edge of that white cardstock, or blended cardstock if you like. It's just about going to appear in the cutting groove, or just be level with the edge of that cutting groove, and then slice that, and that should give me approximately the border that I need, and it has. There we go. Okay, so again, just lining that up so it's right on the edge of where that cutting groove is, and cut. Oops. Okay, and we've got a really nice border there. Okay, and we're just going to be using a white card base to mount this up. So I have my card bases pre-cut. I just sort of sit and I'll cut like 10 pieces of cardstock, and then you've got 20 card bases ready to go. Okay, so do you want a final measurement? Let's just give you a final measurement on that piece of cardstock. So that's coming out at 2 7/8 by 5 1/4. Okay, so that's how that's turned out, if you're wondering, and that's going to look gorgeous on there, isn't it? Okay, so normally I use seal for this, but the wet glue is just going to give me a little bit of wriggle room to make sure I've got this nice and straight on the card. So don't press too hard, and then just make sure you've got it lined up, or as best you can anyway. Give that a press, and that's going to dry while we get other things prepped. Sentiment, I say we've got this little congratulations with the matching die. So we are going to bring in our Memento ink, our black ink pad for that. I want to make sure that's well inked. And say this is just a scrap out of the scrap bin, which will be big enough to cover that sentiment. So we'll just make sure that that's all nice and dry before we position the die over the top. So just give that a second to dry, and I'm just going to pull out some cardstock. And now the big decision is, what colour do we do? Because we've got all the colours on our card base. It's about sort of, you know, what's going to go with our card. So my thinking on this one was that the purple was kind of missing from the blend, you see. Alright, and now it sort of appears, but it's not really a great feature, you see, or not a key feature. So I figured bringing in the purple was a good way to sort of introduce that element of the rainbow in there. Okay, so on that one it was Fresh Freesia. I think we're going to go Highland Heather this time round. Beautiful colour. Okay, so really well ink that up really well. I know for a fact that my Highland Heather is not the need re-inking really, but oh, sorry, right off the screen there, aren't I? There we go. So we've stamped that down. Use the solid image rather than the outline image. Again, it just gives it a bit more punch than the outline, but if you wanted to use the outline, then of course you could. So that's Highland Heather, and then I've got a strip of cardstock here for the little leaf, so we can add that detail on. And I thought a deep green would be really nice, so I'm going to do some shaded spruce on this little, so there's 3 of those, but I'm also going to do some Granny Apple Green. Just wipe that residual ink off there. So I've got 5 little leaves and our flowers that we can punch out. So we'll do that in a second. Right, let's position our die and get that done. So these dies are great, so you could of course fussy cut that if you like fussy cutting. This is quite a trend on cards to have these little delicate sentiments, and I have fussy cut sentiments before, but it's a hell of a lot easier when they've got a die for it. So we'll run that through just real quick, and that's a darn sight quicker than trying to do that by hand. Some people find it therapeutic though, so you know, if it's something that you like doing, then there you go, isn't that cute? Okay, petal park punch, builder punch. Okay, so we're going to go and cut all these out with our punch. So you just want to line up that strip in there and get those all done. And voila. Now we've got loads of pieces that we can use to build up our card. Okay, so let's see, where do we want all this stuff? So I'm just going to press these into my palm a little bit just to give them a little bit of shape. Chisel them with your fingers, whatever you're going to do. Okay, just makes them look a little bit more natural if they're not completely flat. So we'll do our little cluster of flowers. So wet glue is fantastic for this kind of thing, because you've got time to position things and get them sitting where you want them to sit. And trios of flowers always work quite nicely. So it's very good that Stampin' Up gave us a trio of flowers to go in this punch. I think this guy's going to go across there like so. It's a bit skinny for dimensionals. We could cut them down, but we're not going to today. We're going to slot that in and have it going across the whole thing, kind of tying those elements together. I'm just going to use a block there to get out the glare a little bit. So I'm just using a block there to help me sort of squish that down a little bit. The glue go does catch very quickly, so that gives us just a minute just to bend these and get these ready to go. I'm going to position my shaded spruce ones first. We can fluff up the petals. That we've just squished a little bit. So just little dabs of glue just to tuck those in. So kind of going for the, you know, sort of evenly sort of spaced ish, and then we'll add our lighter leaves in as well for a little bit of added interest. Ooh. Okay, getting glue on my fingers again. I want that to tuck in a little bit more. There we go. Right, let's just pop our wipe away that glue on my thumb, otherwise that's going to end up somewhere it's not supposed to. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then we're coupling this up a little bit as well. I think some rhinestones would be good. Just want to perk up these petals just a little bit. Okay, and then the rhinestones have 3 sizes, which I always like to use. And then it just sort of helps bring things together. Just 3 of them, one of each size, just to sort of bring all that together. And that is my take on the geometric theme for today. Links in the description to everybody else's. So this one we've gone with our 3x5 to make that rectangular panel. The original sample used a square. Okay, so this is sort of a clean bright with white cardstock and everything. Okay, so that's all very, very lovely. But you can take this wherever you want. So if you wanted something a little bit more impactful, or maybe even something for a guy, you could really blend the whole thing and cover your whole card with some of those circles. Just this happy birthday is actually from the Biggest Wish, and I did fussy cut that. And just a couple of the little sequins just flashing there as well. So you can really use the same idea to have a completely different outlook on it. Okay, so there we go. I'd love to see if you create anything of a geometric theme with these kinds of products. Everything's linked in the description. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye.